Hello, everybody, and welcome to the RestoreHER Podcast. I am your host, Cheryl Lacey Donovan, and we are happy that you have decided to join us here today. We have recently been interviewing some of the awesome participants that will be speaking for our RestoreHER Virtual Summit that's happening March 1st through March the 7th. And tonight is not going to be any different. We'll be speaking with Ashanti Barnes. She's going to be sharing with us from the pillar of Restore Her Emotions. Ashanti, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. So listen, tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. First, I would like to just take pause and celebrate you for this movement and just having the wherewithal to go forth and to inspire and to build up others. I really just want to take pause to congratulate you and to pour into you because what you're doing is an amazing thing. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And as far as I am concerned, I'm just plain old Ashanti. I just happen to be a motivational speaker, a minister, an educator, a life strategist, and a published author. So all of those things kind of come together because I am a servant of people. I know that my calling in life is to inspire others a little higher. So I'm in the business of helping people. So that's just a little bit about me.
That's amazing. I see now why we hit it off so well. We have a lot of things in common. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Indeed. Absolutely.
So when we're talking about inspiring people and empowering people, I know that one of the areas that can be really tricky is emotion. Because oftentimes, especially for us as women, we find ourselves leading with our emotions and making sometimes not so good decisions based on our emotions. So with that, what would be some of the insight that you would give to women with regards to how they can help restore their emotions to a place where they can make better choices and decisions in life?
Oh, absolutely. The first thing that we need to think about is that we were created as emotional beings. So it is our responsibility to have an awareness of our emotions. It would be, I don't know, just probably just not in good standing to say that we cannot operate out of emotions because we are emotional beings. But we do need to be aware of said emotions. What is it that makes you feel the way you feel? But we can't just stop there because once we get past the awareness of the emotions, we have to know how to control the emotions in the situations we're in. We have to know when it's appropriate to do certain things. We have to know that when someone has proverbially rubbed you the wrong way, that it's not appropriate to lash out where it can cause you to lose your footing. It can cause you to be seen in a light that is less desirable. So that control, that self-control is a part of your emotions. But here's the thing, self-control does not mean that you are emotionless. Like you do have emotions, you do have to control them, but there is a proper way to express those emotions. For instance, with emotional intelligences, there are low emotions and high emotions. So let's just say if you're in a situation that is offensive to you, you would have low emotional intelligence if you kind of come back with an aggressive or demanding, egotistical response. You're highly emotional intelligent if you can spin it where you are assertive, yes, and maybe ambitious, and you have that drive, you're decisive, you're not confrontational. So you have to make sure that you can identify what the emotion is, but you also want to make sure that you're controlling it so that you can take charge of the narrative about who you are and what it is that you do and how people even perceive you. Because we all know, we've heard the phrase that perception is reality. So we have to learn how to keep our cool, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you hit the nail on the head, because I think one of the keys is the whole awareness piece, the emotional intelligence. Because if you don't get to the root of why you're responding to that particular piece of stimuli the way that you are, then you're going to continually do so. And it may not be as productive as you'd like it to be. For instance, there are, particularly men, because they're not always allowed to emote. They've been told by society that, they shouldn't emote. So oftentimes when they're sad, angry is what comes out. When they're disappointed, angry is what comes out. When they're hurt, angry is what comes out. And it's because they've never been allowed to explore and become aware of where that emotion, what emotion that really is that they're feeling and experiencing. And as a result of that, it's almost tunnel vision, if you will.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. So in that particular scenario, we have raised up a significant body of our community to suppress emotions, and that's not appropriate, because they become those boys who don't deal with the emotions, those boys who are told that boys don't cry, or you can't act a certain way, or you can't say certain things. They're not being trained to funnel those emotions and make it something productive. They don't have the practice. They don't have the wherewithal. So then they become adults, men, fathers, business people who are in the community in leadership positions, and they don't know how to control their emotions or use the appropriate emotions at the appropriate time, and they definitely have issues with relating to others. Mm-hmm. And so that's the other part of emotional intelligence, is not just your self-awareness and your self-management, but how do you deal with other people? Like, how aware are you of other people, their emotions? Can you pick up on body language? Can you pick up on facial expression, the tone of voice, or the word choice? Are you aware of what's happening so that you can respond appropriately? And sometimes responding appropriately means not responding even in this moment if it's really, really intense. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes, sure it does. It makes a lot of sense. I know that, my husband and I talk about that often with the communication piece that we do. Sometimes, how they said, you have 2 ears to listen and 1 mouth to speak. But when we're in heated fellowship, when we're in heated fellowship, sometimes you speak well before you actually listen to what the other individual has to say. I know that there have been often times where, the other person is talking, and instead of really listening to what they're saying, I've already formulated what I think my answer should be. And in fact, I probably should have waited to hear the end of what they were going to say before I even formulated that opinion and that response. And now we both are at an emotional high that is counterproductive to what we're trying to get to as far as our outcome.
Absolutely, absolutely. And sometimes being so emotionally charged, you're fighting against your partner. You're fighting against the person who truly does have your back. So it creates barriers. It slows down process and progress. Just being able to understand that there is a pipeline from your mind to your heart. And if we can make sure that we can both think logically but handle each other tenderly and gently, so that we can be forward-moving, so that we can be progressive-minded, so that we can do the work. And here's the other thing. When we're socially aware of other people and we're helping to manage the relationships that we're in, be it personal or professional relationships, we have to understand what makes someone else tick. What is it that that, what are their triggers, and are we purposefully standing on those triggers? Like, are we doing more harm to our situation than good? We have to be very, very careful because at the end of the day, the end game is to progress, to move forward in anything that we do, personally, professionally, and otherwise.
So I heard you earlier mention the fact that you are an author, so I wanted to give you an opportunity to talk to our listeners a little bit about the book that you've written.
Okay, well, I have 16 titles. I have 2 self-help books where they are entitled Resilient and Relentless, and basically it's about endurance in life, business, and ministry. It shows you how to get started with that thing, that's burning on the inside of you. We have these goals. We have these aspirations. So Resilient helps you to get started, and Relentless keeps you going in that vein. Each of those books, they all have the content that truly inspires you. It digs deep so that you can be self-motivated and self-driven. But it gives you some homework, some tasks. So what makes these books different, I think, from a lot of other books, it doesn't just give you the information on what I think works. No, you cannot be your best self until you get your work done. It's so easy for me to tell you, these are your 3 steps to success, or these are your 7 steps to effectiveness, or these are your 11 steps to endurance. But until you do the work, it's all for naught. So these 2 books help you to really dig deep, do the work, so that you can manifest those things that you truly, truly want in your life. I also have some interactive journals that could be used as companions to Resilient and Relentless. One is entitled Unshakable Faith. One is Unbreakable Fortitude, and the other is Unmistakable Favor. And they are daily entries with these prompts where you're just really being introspective and reflective. You're planning out your day. You're checking in to see, what have you done, and did you do it well? What are your glows and your grows, and how competent did you feel on today? What about your confidence level? What is it that you're doing today that you can make sustainable for tomorrow? And if there's anything that did not quite go the way you wanted it to go, what can we do? What's the plan to shift that around so it can be better, so that you can continue to improve? So, and then I have several other titles that are notebooks and other companions, but those are the main 5: Resilient, Relentless, Unshakable Faith, Unmistakable Favor, and Unbreakable Fortitude. Those are the ones that are going to get you in the game.
Wow. That is awesome. That is something else. So listen, tell everyone how they can contact you and how they can purchase copies of your book.
Okay. Being connected in this world of social media, you can find me on all social media platforms. That is Ashanti_Barnes Inspired. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WordPress, even on Pinterest and YouTube. So all of the social media platforms, Periscope, you can find me using the same tagline. But as far as my books and other merchandise is concerned, you can find me on Amazon. And you can find me just by typing in my name, Ashanti Barnes, and it will take you to my page, and it will show you all of the things that I have available. And, of course, it gives you descriptions of everything and allows you to kind of view to select or what have you. But more than anything, before we even get to products, or if we even, whether or not we get to products, I want to stay connected. My job is to continue to pour into people. I'm all about building relationships. Mm-hmm. If a purchase comes, so be it. But the relationship is where the gold is. That's where the gems are.
Absolutely. Well, Ashanti, thank you so much for joining us. It has truly been a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Likewise. Thank you so much for this time.
Absolutely. Everyone, we've been speaking with Ashanti Barnes. She is one of our speakers for the Restore Her Virtual Summit happening March 1st through March 7th, 2020. She will be speaking to us on the pillar of Restore Her Emotions. You do not want to miss this virtual summit happening March 1st through March 7th, 2020. Stay tuned for more interviews and stay tuned for more information about our virtual summit. And as always, remember, God can do exceedingly and abundantly more than you could ever ask or think, according to the power that works in you. Be blessed.